Hello there. Welcome once again to another episode of the Are You Hooked podcast. I'm so excited today to introduce my next guest. She's been a dancer, actress, model, reality TV star, and now she's transitioning to the world of business. Please welcome my guest and a very, very good friend of mine, Laura Carter.
Oh,
Laura,
what a lovely introduction. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for giving up your time today and obviously coming on and speaking about everything. What a career you've had. Just a sort of few things to go over.
Honestly, I mean, can I put my water here? I'll put my water here. I honestly don't even know where to start. I've done so many things. But I'm going to start from the beginning.
Yeah,
Let's
please do.
start
I
from
think
the
that's
beginning.
the most obvious place to start, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll try and condense it into a nutshell as much as I can. And I love it, by the way, because we always do voice notes to each other, don't we? And I always say at the beginning of the voice note, this isn't going to be a podcast, don't worry. And it always ends up being a 10-minute podcast.
Well, now I've
Anyway,
got you on a podcast now,
I know.
so we can do it for everyone to see our conversations.
I love it. So I did everything backwards. Mm-hmm. So usually, regarding like the glamour world, usually, you'd do page 3 and then you'd be a glamour model and then you'd move on to doing reality shows and TV and presenting. I did it completely backwards. Like literally, I started out as an actress.
Yep.
So moved to London when I was 21, got an amazing agent. In the first 3 months, got my first TV job.
What was that doing?
It was a TV show called The Royal Today. So it was like a daytime hospital drama. Anyway, after I'd done that, I kind of did loads of episodic stuff. So I was doing the rounds on Emmerdale and casualty doctors. But I was really thriving in that industry, in the commercial world. So I was making my money doing TV commercials and ADR, which is voiceover work.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, which nobody would ever.
You did voiceover stuff.
Yeah, I mean, just add that to the roster. So really, my career was like I was doing like in the commercial. I don't know what you get now for commercials, but back in the day when I was doing it, I could get 20, 30, 40 grand for 2 days work. Wow. Because how it works is you film the commercial and then you get the buyout. So I was doing all of that. But in amongst that, I was doing, commercial modelling work as well.
Yeah.
So I ended up shooting with a photographer called, I think it was Andy Lee Savage, and he was like a glamour photographer that did a lot of page 3. Yeah. And I don't know how he was on this commercial job with me, but he said to me, you have a really unique look. He said, have you ever considered doing page 3 or glamour? So bearing in mind, this was before I'd had my boobs done. I was like, no, I was mortified. I was absolutely mortified. I was like, no way. Like, bearing in mind, I was going for parts on, and you would never believe it, but parts on Downton Abbey, Call the Midwife, without makeup on, I have red hair and this porcelain skin. Yeah. So I actually had that look, and they're the kind of roles that I was going for.
Yeah.
So for him to say that to me, I was like, no, I literally, which is hilarious to think what I ended up going into. But
yeah. So how old would you have been at that time?
So
roughly
about 25.
Oh right, okay. So not like 18, 19.
No. I was about 24, 25 at this point. So anyway, on my little journey, I've actually got notes. I'm actually going to look down at my notes because
you've done that much. You get mixed up.
Literally. So when I was around 27, I'd started realising that I was going for all these roles on TV, and I had a fabulous agent who was always getting me in front of huge casting directors.
Right.
I mean, just to kind of put it into perspective for you, I was going up against the likes of Jodie Comer, who has, for anybody that doesn't know who Jodie Comer is, she played Killing Eve.
Yeah.
So like she's got big actresses, and I was being put in front of these huge casting directors for shows like Lord of the Rings and all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
What I came to realise is that even if I looked right for the role, I had this real, it was almost like as soon as a camera was pointed to me, even though I'd kind of like spent ages learning the script, I just went blank. It was a real I wasn't good at auditioning, and I'd always leave the audition like absolutely gutted because I'd think, oh, I really screwed that up. They'd always recall me and say, oh, she looks great, but she needs to just work on this. And I just thought, do you know what? Oh God, I'm stuck to my top. I never used to admit this to myself, but now looking back, I think that's one of the reasons why I never actually did bag the big roles, because I always screwed it up in the auditions. I never quite got my... it was weird. It was like this mental block.
I was going to say, did anything bring that on? Did anything ever happen to sort of start it, or did it just
I don't know.
happen?
Honestly, Callum, I don't know. It was like, as soon as they said action...
Yeah, you just...
I literally got this like nervous block where I'd forget all my lines. I'd go really nervous, and it was debilitating.
Oh, I can imagine.
It was
because
actually...
you'd be stood in front of how many people doing
Exactly.
an audition. It was probably embarrassing more
It was
than anything.
and it was really debilitating. And I got to the point where I was like, oh God, I've had a great... And bearing in mind, I'd worked a lot in the industry.
Yeah, of course,
you know, I'd all the commercials and all the fabulous acting jobs that I'd done.
Yeah.
But then when it came down to getting the big roles, I was like, oh, it was like, you know... Anyway, so this kind of leads me on to how it all changed for me. So anyway, because I was aside from all the acting, I was working as a hostess as well. So I'd work at all the big sporting events. I was doing the boat shows. And I was invited to go and work in Miami for the Miami Boat Show. And I just remember, so at the time, I had a fiancé who was also an actor.
Right.
His brother was a really well-known film actor. So I was very much in this, like, acting world.
Yeah, in the bubble.
In the bubble.
Yeah.
So I'd gone to Miami, and I literally had the time of my life. Like, I just remember having this moment of... I was in this club in Miami, and having this moment of... Oh my God. And sorry, I forgot to say, I was planning a wedding at that time.
Oh, right, okay.
So I was actually a fiancé. I was going to get married to my fiancé. But I was over there in Miami having the best time, and I thought, oh my God, I felt like there was so much more in life that I hadn't experienced yet.
Yeah.
And I felt like by getting married, I felt like that would clip my wings.
Yeah, because sorry to sort of cut you off. In a way, you would sort of stay within that bubble.
Yeah.
You thought, what's outside? What's life got to bring as opposed to this?
It was almost like I'd lived this amazing. Honestly, I was just this amazing life with this amazing guy. Like he really was such an amazing guy. But it was almost like I knew that there was... It had kind of come to an end. It was like I knew that there was something else out there for me.
Yeah.
You know how it was almost like I called it at the time the 7-year itch, because I'd been with him for 7 years.
Yeah.
I was suddenly like now just thinking, I feel like if I do this, my wings are going to be clipped. And anyway, so it was a real turning point in my life.
So how old were you then? So you were 25, you get approached by a photographer. You're now in Miami, engaged. How old were you then?
So I was 27.
Okay.
I was 27.
So still quite young, considering everything that you'd done up until that point.
Yeah. So when I got back from Miami, I kind of just thought I had to finish the relationship.
Yeah.
It was a really hard time, and I finished it, and I was like, you know, we'd actually planned the wedding.
Right.
And it was going to be, you know, we'd even like OK Magazine were going to come and do all the pictures.
Oh, right. Okay. So quite a big deal then.
It was a big deal. And I remember having to send out a message to these 250 invites that we had and say, you know, it's not going ahead. But I just knew that it was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Anyway, so once that had happened, right, so the relationship had finished. Mm-hmm. And my life changed like dramatically. It was like I decided that actually I wanted to explore more of the dancing.
Yeah, yeah.
So I started working in a West End club. It was called District.
Yeah.
And literally started having the time of my life. I was dancing in the West End. I decided that actually maybe I wanted a little break from acting.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd been this like little, you know, straight-laced actor. Mm-hmm. And it was almost like a fire that was inside of me. I was like,
rebel phase.
It was like my little rebel coming out. I was like, right, I want to just... It was like I was 27, but I'd gone back to being a 21-year-old.
Yeah. Sort of making up for lost time.
It was like making up for lost time. I felt like I'd just started dancing in the West End. I'd just turned 28. I remember turning 28 and falling head over heels in love with a 21-year-old. I was like, he was 21, but looked and seemed so much older. He was older in and I was much, much younger, and I looked much younger than I was. Mm-hmm. So I started living my best life. I was dancing. I was pretty much being paid to party at that time.
Can't be that. You can't be that at all.
I was being paid to party, like literally. I went off to Dubai for a couple of months. I went to LA. I was partying in the Hollywood Hills. I have so many stories. So many stories. But you see, that was part of my problem.
Right.
I was such an oversharer. And I was just excited. And I was like, oh, I've done this and I've seen this person and we've been partying with this person. And, you know, it started to become almost like I started to attract attention from producers of reality TV shows.
Right, okay.
So that's when all the reality TV came about.
Yep.
Because I hope I'm not boring you to death, by the way, with my story.
This is, as long as I've known you, this is stuff that even I don't know, so I'm
Really?
sort of intrigued to know about it. Just to sort of touch on to see if I can get anything out of you, because by your admission, you're an oversharer.
Yeah.
What is the craziest party, the craziest thing that you saw whilst you were out on that rebel phase in America?
Right, so I'm gonna have to just say that...
Don't obviously say names if you don't want to.
Yeah, I mean...
Blank.
Because I've basically lived a life that most people only see in the movies, and that's all I can say. Like it's like it's a like in the, you know, at the Hollywood parties and all the kind of, like, I can't say one particular story because one of the let's say encounters that I had with a particular person who I ended up oversharing about and telling, you know, thinking that the journos were all my best friends and telling a journo, and this one story, as you know, went viral. Now, I'm not going to mention a name. Yeah. But, you know, if you really want to find out, you can Google it. It's all over Google. But I won't ever talk about anyone in particular, because at that time, like, I'd overshared that. Yeah. And then it came back to bite me because I got branded, and I'm sorry to kind of, you asked me a question and I've kind of gone back on this, but, you know,
I think it sort of plays into it though.
It does.
It's a clearly a very important life lesson that you've learned.
A huge life lesson, because I just have to go back to the fact that I'd I'd gone from being this really like straight-laced, like little cute, sweet, innocent actress to all of a sudden being branded, and it killed me at the time, but branded a kiss and tell girl, because back then there wasn't the culture of I feel like we have this culture now of podcasts, talking about things, sharing your stories. It is a culture of oversharing, and it's
100%.
okay now. Whereas when I did it 10 years ago, it wasn't a thing. So when I spoke about things that I was doing and the people that I was with and the stories, I became a kiss and tell girl.
Right.
And that's just a difference in how things have evolved.
Yeah.
The producers started to think, oh, hang on a minute, who's this girl who seems to be tearing everything up like this? To be honest, I did have a very interesting life looking on, because it was Facebook back then. So I was posting all these things. I was in LA, I was doing all this stuff. So I ended up finding myself on a reality TV show called Young, Free and Single.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind, obviously, I always thought that I'd never do reality TV, because God forbid, as an actor, you do reality TV. It's like the worst thing ever. But obviously my life had changed, and I was now doing reality TV. I absolutely loved it. I loved it. I had the time of my life. And that is when I started to do the glamour stuff. That's when that kind of started to unfold, because when I did the reality TV show, I'd started to get this little army of male followers.
Yeah. Bit of attention.
Male attention. Just because of how I was quite, let's say, confident, quite overtly sexual in some ways. Like I never really thought that I was, but I clearly was.
You were doing something right.
Yeah, I was doing something to get their attention. So I started doing the lads mags. Bearing in mind, by the way, I was 30. So I wasn't the spring chicken. I was 30 when I did this reality TV show, but I looked so much younger and was acting like, so much younger. So I started doing the lads mags. I did the cover of Maxim. I did Zoo, Nuts, But just as I started to do it, they all started to fade out, didn't they?
Yeah.
They started to go. Like it was almost like it had come to an end, and that's when I'd started doing it. Then after all that, I'd started to do the lads mags and like started to get that kind of new fan base, shall we say.
Of course,
I did Big Brother. Now all I'm going to say about Big Brother, because we've explored this one, people know that I
you spoke very openly about it on your own YouTube channel, haven't you?
I did, and if anybody wants to know about my story and what happened, then I have got that, a very in-depth video of my experience.
Yeah.
But in a nutshell, I literally was the most reckless, careless, zero fucks given, living my best life, not thinking about any of my actions having consequences.
Yep.
And just made a complete and utter tit out of myself, basically, on national TV. I was just very overly confident with the guys, overtly sexual. People were shocked. I was pretty shocking. I don't think, and if I'd have done it on Love Island, it would have been totally different.
Yeah. Do you think sort of the tone of the programs are different, because that's sort of encouraged in a weird sort of way on Love Island, isn't it?
It's encouraged massively.
Yeah.
But on my show, it was a 9 o'clock. Yes, it was airing at 9 o'clock, but families were still watching it.
Yeah.
So it was completely the wrong show to be doing what I was doing. But weirdly, it's like I completely just forgot the cameras were there. I was almost like, I knew that I'd been cast as this man-eating glamour girl, kiss and tell. So I think deep down inside, I was really like crumbling and thinking, what am I doing? Like, I am this is not like, who am I? Like, who is
Yeah.
this person that's just come out from, it's like a completely different person to the person that I was when I was an actress, and I built
Yeah.
up this amazing reputation, all of a sudden to be wild, like completely wild on national television.
Do you think in a weird sort of way, because that was the way that they portrayed you on the show, that you sort of felt you had to live up to it?
In a way, but I didn't. So I don't want to talk about this too much.
Yeah,
but
of course, yeah.
Because I kind of want to skip past this little bit. But obviously, because I'd been branded this kiss and tell girl, right? I was really, I was devastated about that, because that is so far removed from what I am.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Completely, like I was devastated. And when my agent said to me, "Well, Big Brother are really interested," I thought, you know what, I'm going to do it, because it's my chance to just be me, and I can just, you know. I thought that I was going to go into it like just being the old me.
Yeah.
But because, like, talking to the producers and telling them about all my stories and all my escapades, they loved it. They were like, "Oh, this is fab."
Yeah.
And it's kind of like I got myself into this hole of like being what they wanted me to be, which is this like, this. And when I did the VT, I was like, "Oh, I've done this and I've done that." And I think I said a line like, "I'm an international baller" or something. I'm like dying at the fact that I said that. But they missed out all the little bits where I was like, "But you know, I'm just deep down like a girl that's just living my best life." And I'm so grateful for it all. But they missed out all of that. So when my VT was actually shown, they should have shown all that side of me, but they didn't. Everybody just got this girl that was like, whoa. Yeah. Like, it was a lot. But then looking back, like, it was a TV show. They're not going to put the boring girl on, are they?
Yeah,
they're
obviously they needed it for views. And
so we'll skip past that part now, because I feel like it's getting a bit boring. But when I came out of Big Brother, it was literally like, I did actually do an episode of Doctors, which I can't believe I did. Like, I can't believe they cast me, but I was so desperate to leave that behind me and go back into what I knew. I just wanted to go back into what I knew and what I'd built this whole reputation on. So I was very, very lucky to be cast in Doctors, but after I'd done that, I went in on myself. I was like, I don't want to be near a camera. I don't want to be in the limelight. I just want to disappear, and I don't want anything to do with that world. Yeah. So I started a multi-level marketing business in wellness. Okay. That's
a bit of a it's a bit of a
very
different side. Yeah.
Obviously, I've always been really interested in wellness and fitness and all that kind of thing. But
absolutely.
I think I'd just kind of gone into something that I just was so different to everything I'd been doing. Yeah. So I started this business, really loved it. So this is 2017 now. Okay. I'm just going to have a sip of my caffeine water, which I'm loving, by the way. Oh, it's nice. So
multi-level marketing.
2017. Big Brother was a year behind me at this point. I was doing this wellness business. I was loving it. And I just remember being at my cousin's house, and somebody messaged me and said, "Are you sitting down?" I was like, "Why?" And they said, "You've had a leak." And I was like, "What do you mean I've had a leak?"
The worst message anybody can get.
Honestly, my heart just dropped. So I was like, "What?" Anyway, it was at the time that you can remember that big celebrity iPhone leak, and there was big A-list stars Jennifer Lawrence, Amanda Seyfried. There was like a lot of people that had their phones hacked. Yeah. God knows how I got in there. God knows how I got in there, but I got in there.
Some huge names, and then
I know,
and then you.
There's me. And I laugh about it now, but honestly, at the time,
oh yeah, I can imagine.
I was devastated because you've got to think I'd removed myself from it all. I'd really tried to put it behind me and go on to this little kind of like a different path. And then this all happened.
Yeah, it dragged you right back.
And once pictures go onto this certain website, you can never get rid of them. And a lot of these pictures, some of them were my friends. It wasn't even me.
Yeah.
Some of them were like us with our tops off, with like nipple covers on. Like, just as girls, like you're getting ready to go out and you've got these random nipple covers on. And there was loads of pictures that got leaked that were just so violating. I was devastated.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Anyway, so I thought, the only thing that I know to do is to try and just forget about it.
Yeah.
So, skip a little bit of time. I had Jackson.
Yep.
He was a newborn baby. I had my lovely wellness business. Everything was fab. And unfortunately, me and Jackson's dad broke up.
Yeah.
So Jackson was 6 months. We broke up, and I suddenly found myself in a position. I thought that I'd hit rock bottom on national television, but actually my rock bottom was having a 6-month-old baby, having no money because I hadn't saved any of the money that I'd made in London, living up north, not knowing what the hell to do with myself.
Yeah.
Jackson's dad was helping me pay for everything. And I was like, oh my God, I'm now like, I felt so powerless and so like all this life that I've built up, everything that I've done, and what have I got to show for it?
Yeah.
So I had a real moment of looking back and thinking, wow, that 2-year period of doing reality TV, reckless, careless, and I fucked my life up. Like I literally thought to myself, I fucked my life. So I decided to take my power back, and that's when everything changed again. So everything I decided, I had a few friends that were doing this new platform. I did inverted commas at the wrong time then. But the new platform, OnlyFans.
Yep.
Okay? So I had friends like making an absolute killing on OnlyFans. And I thought to myself, right, okay, Laura, you've got all these pictures that are online, okay? Completely out of your control.
Yeah.
People can already see these pictures, okay? I'd already done all the glamour stuff. I'd done the lags mags. I knew that I had this fan base.
Yeah.
So I thought to myself, right, didn't think I'd be doing this with a child, but I'm going to do OnlyFans.
Yeah.
And I literally put on my Instagram, right guys, got a new page, everybody subscribe. I got so many subscribers and so many, basically, I'm not going to say any figures, but I earned more in the first month than I had done in a whole year.
Wow.
Previously.
So quite a bit then.
It was a lot of money, and it was literally all I was doing. OnlyFans is like being the editor of your own magazine.
Yeah.
So you have all your pictures, you've got all your content, you've got all your subscribers. And what I was doing was chatting to people. I was chatting. I was loving it. It was all these people that wanted to know about Young, Free and Single. They wanted to know about Big Brother. They wanted to get to know me as a person, and I was being paid for it. It was literally like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So OnlyFans then, and I'm nearly finished. No,
go on. I'll let you speak.
OnlyFans then led me to being able to buy my own house. I started putting money away. I started investing money. I started to be doing, I did all these things that I thought I'd never be able to do again, because, I'd gone from having absolutely nothing and this tiny baby to then suddenly having, it was like on a different scale.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
I bought my house, I put loads of money away. And I will be forever grateful for that. So really, that's kind of where my story ends at that point, because obviously I've got a new kind of path now. But
new phase.
we can move on to that.
Laura 2.0.
Yeah, it's probably like Laura 10.0.
with all the things that you've done done throughout your life. But as I said to you, obviously we've known each other for what, 5 or 6 years, and just to sort of hear the stories that you've told me and know the person that you are now, it's just sort of so night and day that it was, I think, a way that you were portrayed. Because obviously I just knew you as Laura, because I've obviously never watched Big Brother.
Yeah.
So I didn't really go into knowing you thinking, oh, there's this girl that's been on reality TV. So I think that sort of opened my mind up a bit more, because I didn't go in with this initial stigma of, oh, she's done all this, you know, she might be a bit of an idiot, or you know, she might be the complete opposite. But like you say, to sort of know you now and everything that you've been through, it's a hell of a story. So, you know, I'm glad that I can sort of give you that platform away from your own stuff to be able to tell it, because I think maybe in a different setting you might not be as comfortable opening up.
Yeah.
So hopefully this now is that setting for you to.
It is.
To maybe.
It really is, and like I'm talking to a friend.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm talking to a friend, and you know, a lot of people have said to me, "You should do podcasts. You should talk more." And I'm scared of them.
Yeah.
I'm scared of podcasts because I'm scared of what I'm going to say, and am I going to get into trouble? What if I name drop and everybody goes, "Oh, she's name dropping"? And I think I'm so scarred from past experiences and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh God, I don't want to put myself in a situation where I'm oversharing again.
Yeah.
But this is lovely because, again, I'm talking to you as a friend.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
I can't wait to tell our little story, but we'll move on to that.
No, honestly, it's all good. But before obviously we set up and we spoke about coming on, you put something out online just to see if there are any fans that want to ask you any questions.
Yeah.
So we'll just take a little few minutes just to sort of let you have a little chill and a reset from reliving
reliving my past,
the trauma.
Yeah.
How old were you when you had your boobs done?
Okay, so what a question.
Well, people want to know this stuff, don't they?
So I have to say, before I had my boobs done, I had a nice little C cup going on. You know, I had a nice, to say how like slim I am.
Yeah.
I had nice little boobs, and my boyfriend at the time, actually it was when I was with my fiance. I was like, I just want my boobs doing, and he was like, no, don't get them done. And I think I was about 25 when I first had them done.
Right.
Yeah, around 25, I think, when I first had my boobs done. Loved them. Absolutely loved them. And my fiance at the time that didn't want me to get them done also loved them. So he was buzzing. And then when I had Jackson, I got them done again, and I didn't really need to be honest. I was always told that once you've had a baby, you need to get your boobs redone.
Yeah.
I never really needed to, because they look exactly the same, really. As they did before. So yeah, I've had them done twice. Yeah.
So 25 and then...
So I was 25 and then I was 32 when I had them done the second time round.
See, something else I didn't know. Not really something we speak about. But...
And you know, I actually wanted them doing a third time, and I thought, oh, do I fancy going a bit bigger? And then I thought, actually, no, I don't. I'm curvy, but in a nice way.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not like.
Has that been a recent thought, or?
So when I did Playboy, which was, when did I do Playboy?
a while ago.
I did Playboy when Jackson was here. So Jackson was about... I tell you when I did it. I did it when COVID came out. The month that COVID came out, which is March 2020,
yeah.
I did Playboy. So I remember it being a massive influx of fans on OnlyFans because suddenly everybody's at home bored.
Yeah.
My Playboy magazine comes out, and I remember that being like, wow, that was my period of just like fully, not gonna lie, cashing in. What was the question? What we were talking about? Boobs.
When did you think about having a third?
Yeah, so I'd done Playboy, and that kind of all came about. Somebody, he's an agent, and he called me and he said, would you consider doing Playboy? And I was like, well, yeah, absolutely.
Not a difficult decision.
So I probably did that when I was, 2020. Was that 4 years ago? Yeah, 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So I was 30.
Without giving your age away.
My age is. I'm going to come on to that, but that's on the next bit. I think I was 36, and I was like, I did Playboy, and I thought, do I fancy getting bigger boobs? And then I thought, no, I'm not going to do it.
That's a thought that runs through my head most days as well. do I go bigger? But then I stop myself. Last question. From party girl to well-being queen. I think this sort of moves us on quite nicely to the next part. What was the turning point for your change?
Good question. I like that. So it wasn't like I just went from being party girl to wellness.
Yeah.
There's been a lot in between.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things that have happened in between. I went from being party girl, reality TV, my whole world crashing down, having a baby, doing OnlyFans,
yep.
Remembering that in between, in amongst that, I'd done this multi-level marketing wellness business, so I'd really started to get into that massively. But the turning point was when I decided that I needed to get myself back to feeling my best. Mm-hmm. I'd lost a lot of weight. I was chronically skinny and...
Yeah, see, I remember we spoke about this, it must have been last year, maybe the year before, because you actually did a side-by-side of those two pictures, I remember. Because I think you were on holiday in one of them and then obviously in like your gym gear and stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, this is like two different people.
It's crazy.
Like the change that you've had was incredible.
It was bordering on. I was desperately ill with the PTSD that I'd had from Big Brother. Yeah. The chronic anxiety was all coming out in a physical way. I was so skinny. I was around 42 kg, which is under 7 stone.
Yeah.
I was tiny. It was awful. It was really awful. I was so... I had chronic anxiety, really, really bad social anxiety as well. Yeah. So I had Jackson at home and I was like loving being a mom. But I'd barely go out. I hated people looking at me. Yeah. And it got to a point where I was desperately unhappy. I was just so racked with anxiety. I thought, right, I've got to change myself. Things have got to change. Yeah. So it was from my own personal transformation of both not only body and mind as well. Yeah. Because I wanted to get stronger physically, but mentally I was in a really bad place. Mm-hmm. So it was that personal transformation that I had. Going to therapy, strength training, doing all these things to better myself, learning about nutrition, learning about supplements, learning how to feed your body and be the best version of yourself. Like I was learning all these things. And as I was doing that for myself, people could see. People were watching me and they could see and they were like, how are you doing that? Oh my God, what are you doing to do this? Yeah. I was helping other people and I was saying, well, you've got to try that supplement. Yep. You've got to do this. Try functional mushrooms. This is what's helped me. And I started to create almost like a following of people, say other mums that were struggling, other people that had been through different experiences but were going through the same mental kind of thing that I was, and not being confident and having anxiety. And I started to help other people. And that's how, because we'll move on to it, but that's how it all came about.
Absolutely. That was sort of the start of, as I said before, your second, third, fourth phase of Laura Carter. Yeah. Now, just a quick question. Obviously, we'll move on to what you're doing now. How did it feel going from having this fan base of predominantly male, as you said, looking at you as you were, to then now having these mums, these women, and sort of really helping empower them, and you say you're living your sort of healthier life, mind, body, soul. How did that feel with the shift in fan base, so to speak?
There was a real shift, actually, because I started to go from posting like really sexy pictures on Instagram to pictures of me and Jax, my little boy, me just in my mom era, you know? I really felt in the beginning a little bit like I wasn't good enough to be this new version of me, because I was like, I was so used to being judged by women from Big Brother. I was so used to women not liking me because I'd been this like overly confident, overtly sexual girl. And I thought that like nobody wanted to really hear like me now being really into my wellness and all this kind of thing. And I really kind of like, it was almost like it kind of happened so naturally that all these kind of like new women were kind of coming in going, well, actually, no, Laura, we love what you've been through. We love the fact that you've gone from this to now this. It's a real inspirational story.
100% it is,
So it was because people had started to say to me, well, actually, it's great that you've been through all of that, because now you can share your story and help others. So it kind of went from me being a little bit like self-conscious and being a bit like, oh, I'm going from having all these like male followers to these like female followers, and I was a bit scared of them at first. I was a bit scared that I was going to be judged, and actually the kind of like
experience sort of you would expect to feel like that initially. And
do you know what, it was actually lovely, because it was almost like this new group of people like took me in and were like, Laurie, we want to hear your story, you're so inspiring to us. And it really helped me to go, okay, me sharing my story is actually a great thing, and me sharing what I've done for myself and helping other people is a fab thing. I lost a few OnlyFans followers. I lost a few subscribers. Because a lot of the men were a little bit like, oh, she's gone a bit boring now. Like, what's happened to our Laura?
She's got her hair up and dressing gown on.
She's very demure, very mindful.
Did the sort of acceptance of the female fan base play a part in helping your transition, let's say? Yeah.
Very much so, because it was when I started to get this kind of like, this army of like I said, like other mums and other people that had maybe struggled and want to know how to better themselves. And it absolutely like opened so many doors for me to be able to help people. I think, just to go a little bit deep a minute, you know how sometimes you have these thoughts of like, why am I here? Like, who am I?
100%.
What? Why has my soul chosen this life? And one of the big things for me is I have always helped people. So whether it's, offering like, offering like a kindness and taking people in and helping people be better, and that can come in all forms. I can be helping some lonely guy that's following me on OnlyFans and just wants to talk to somebody, and I'm there for them. But then I'm here to help, you know, other people like better themselves in their health and wellness journeys. I'm here to share my story of the things that have happened to me, and I feel like some of the stuff that's happened to me has happened so I can now help other people. I've been strong enough to get through what I've been through and now help other people. And I actually can't remember what you asked me.
It doesn't matter, because that was a great way to end on that. Yeah. So now helping people. Again, we've said it before, Laura 4.0, 5.0. We're now transitioning into the world of business.
Yes.
So touch upon that.
Really excited. I'm so excited to touch on this, because this is where you come into it. Like,
yeah, literally, this is where we sort of started, wasn't it?
It is, and I'm so excited to share this story. And I don't know how much time we've actually got left for this whole thing, because I've talked so much. So I'm so excited to share this story with everybody, because you put me on the path that I'm on now. Like, honestly, you did.
Not many people know it, but
you did.
Yeah, that's the truth.
I often say to you, like, I'll send you a random message saying, Callum, honestly, I just want to thank you for putting me on the path that I was actually destined to be on at this point in my life. Yeah. So the question that you've just asked me is, how did you get onto business? How did you start your business, and how was this kind of path formed? Well, really, the crux of it is, I'd gone through my own personal transformation. Yep. So we'd met
6 years ago?
About 6 years ago. And we met on, I'm going to call it Got Me Hooked version 1.
Yeah.
Because you had started this almost like platform that you kind of wanted to make into almost like an OnlyFans platform.
Yeah, exactly right.
A social media platform for girls to be able to sell their content and have subscribers, exactly like OnlyFans. Yeah. That kind of it didn't kind of end up coming into fruition, did it?
No.
For various reasons.
Unfortunately not, no.
But we like this because it's actually brought you to where you are now.
Yes.
So we like this because sometimes you have to, I'm not going to say the word fail because it wasn't failing. It didn't work out in that way because it was meant to happen in the way that it's happened now, which is actually so much better.
No, thank you for saying that.
So we'd met on that.
Yep.
We stayed friends. Mm-hmm. And then randomly, Callum comes to me and says, Laura, I am thinking of starting a supplement brand. Yep. I have an amazing manufacturer. I, have some great ideas, and we started to really bounce off each other. Yeah. Now, initially, you'd said to me, I want you to be the face of it. But me being me, I was like, I don't just want to be the face of it. I feel like this is actually what I want to do. I want to go in with you. Let's go 50-50 on this. And we didn't we?
I remember that, yeah.
And it was great. And in the end, I think after about 6 months, we decided that actually this was a path that I was so destined to be on.
Oh, yeah, you were so passionate.
It was so passionate. But for you, it was like almost like it was. This was your path.
Yeah, I think obviously with everything happened with it as a platform, I sort of personally felt that it was like unfinished business. If that's probably the best way to describe it. Yeah. So there was always that. What if I could have just, got it to this point sort of thing. Yeah. So then obviously we sort of
we parted ways, didn't we? But it was all fine because sometimes in life that's just what happens. And I ended up going on and I kept our name because it was our name. Yeah. It was like I loved that name and I kept our SOQ name. Yeah. But I went off and I rebranded and I made it very like aesthetically feminine and all the stuff that I did and that is how I started the business. And now it's something that I'm building, as we both are. We're building our legacies.
Yeah, massively, yeah.
We're building our legacies, and I think we both have to be so proud of that, and so it's just so exciting.
And then I called you up randomly and said, "Do you want to be on a
I know!
Do you want to be on a podcast?"
I know.
Well, no. First, I said, "Oh, I've got this magazine." You were like, "Magazine?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh yeah, I've been doing this thing," and then I want to do a podcast as well on the side of it, because obviously we'd spoken in the past about doing something. And then here we are 5-6 months down the line.
Exactly. And can I just say, Callum, I love what you're doing, because you're doing something that no one else has done before. You're bringing the girls off the pages and giving us a chance to tell people that we are more than just sexy pictures.
Yeah. No, thank you for saying that.
Yeah, like, you're giving us a voice and an opportunity to actually show people who we really are. Yeah,
and again, I know obviously we spoke about the idea and the whole, sort of thing behind this podcast, but the first time I told you, you sort of got it straight away. I didn't even really need to explain it to you.
Yeah.
Because obviously we do think quite similarly, quite weirdly, but again, to be able to give that extra voice, because I know I touched on it on the last episode. A feature in a magazine is maybe 5 questions, 10 at most. How well can you really know somebody? And these are obviously manufactured questions to get a response out of somebody.
Yeah.
But I really just want to be able to give that voice, something that's not too cringy, something that's not like purposely done for clickbait, because I think there are a lot of people that would ask very inappropriate questions, and that's not what this is about.
No.
This is a very chilled environment, speak what you want to speak about, but it won't be, hopefully, you won't be leaving feeling uncomfortable, as I feel others maybe might from other places.
Exactly that. You'd think that a podcast that was connected to a lads mag, it would be all about tits and ass and
exactly.
But actually no, it's not. It's exploring like us as actual
as women.
And I love the fact that I think that in the past I've been boxed in. I've been defined as one thing.
Yeah.
We as women can be so many things. We are mothers, we are businesswomen, we can be sexy.
Exactly.
We can do all this stuff. And we're multi-dimensional humans that are doing so many things, that we're not just sexy women.
Well, yeah, it's more than what you see on the page.
That. I really love that you've given us this opportunity to do that, and I think people will really like to watch it.
Yeah, obviously, don't get me wrong, the pictures are great.
I mean,
who's not going to want to look at it?
Yeah.
But it's making sure that people know you are more than a picture.
Yeah.
Again,
exactly.
Dancer, actress, model.
I'm sure there's actually
TV
other things.
reality. You've done more in your life than probably most people will do in 2 or 3. So again, there's more to behind you than just the good pictures. So no, I'm glad you sort of got it straight away. Thankfully, it wasn't too much of a sell to get you on. I was,
Well, it's funny because I'd actually put a story out on Instagram to say, if you ever see me doing a podcast, it will just be health and wellness. Don't ask me any questions, because I'm keeping my mouth shut these days.
Yeah.
But what you've kind of allowed me to do is I have touched on things. I have talked about stuff, because that's my life.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not just gonna hide away and pretend I haven't done anything.
Yeah.
I've done it all. I've got about 10,000 t-shirts. I've done it all. And actually, it's actually quite liberating to talk about it.
Yeah.
And, I've really, really enjoyed it. So as much as I said I wasn't going to do any podcasts, I've actually really enjoyed it. So
yes.
Thank you.
So I was able to persuade you.
Yeah.
I'll give you that £20 later that we that we agreed on. Oh, something that I sort of really enjoyed doing at the end of the last episode was really sort of ending it on a very specific question. Ooh. Obviously, again, it's the Are You Hooked podcast from Got Me Hooked magazine. So I'm asking you, Laura Carter, if you are hooked.
I am hooked in every way. I mean, I am so hooked that we actually have something really exciting.
I completely forgot to mention.
But we have something so exciting that we're not
Yes.
actually going to announce it, or should we? I don't know.
I think we should. I think we should.
Well,
Something that has never... You said this because obviously you've been in the glamour industry for
10 years now,
long
really,
time.
like on and off, yeah.
So this is something that you know to be true that has never been done before.
I've never seen it being done before.
Okay, right, never seen it done before. So with you transitioning into your life as a businesswoman, CEO, you are closing officially the chapter of glamour modelling.
I am.
So that means February, March, are we saying?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, February,
Yeah.
March time. You are officially doing your last glamour photo shoots.
Yes. Yeah.
For Got Me Hooked to release a Laura Carter special edition
Yeah.
magazine.
Oh my God, it's insane. Like, it's insane. I feel like, honestly, thank you so much for even, you know, it was, when you said it to me, I was like, what? I was on the train when you said it. I was like, this is such a great idea. What a way to end an era.
Absolutely.
What a way
Absolutely.
to end such a huge part of my life. To have a full edition.
Yeah.
Dedicated.
Literally, yeah, because
To me.
just sort of to go over it briefly because we're running out of time. You said, "Oh, I'm interested in a cover. I'm closing this book," and I thought, it needs to be bigger. I can't do it justice. As good as it is having you on a cover, it needs to be bigger. So then me, mulled it over, thought about it for about 3 days straight, and I sent you a voice note and I said, we need to have an edition completely dedicated to you. So that is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
February, March.
Yeah.
And then we will obviously let everybody know closer to the time when it's due for release.
And I think we can hold back on something because it's like a little... yes, it's a full edition, but we're going to have some little surprises in there, aren't we?
Yep.
It's gonna be a good one.
Oh, it's going to be the best.
It's going to be a good one. And you know what? It's such a... When Jackson's older, when my little boy's older, I'll say, yeah, Mummy did this. You know, Mummy did do sexy photo shoots. And I think it's something to be really proud of. And I can say, you know, I don't think it's something that I want to hide away from. And
100%.
It's part of me and it's part of my story. And it's been a huge part of my life. And again, I did it backwards compared to everybody else. It's something that you usually start off with and work your way up. And I kind of worked my way up and then ended in the glamour world. And I just think it's a fab way to close that door.
100%.
And to put my businesswoman CEO shoes on and go into that world with having closed that chapter in an amazing way.
It's going to be so good. I can't wait to even get started on it.
Yeah.
But as you say, that's February, March time. So people have got to wait for that.
Yes.
Right. Perfect.
But in the meantime, you've got loads of other
The magazine's still going to be coming out monthly.
Yeah.
The last day of every month. But as I said, this is going to be an edition as well as the monthly.
Amazing.
So it's going to be a standalone edition.
Exciting.
So keep your eyes out for that one.
Yay.
So unfortunately, again, that is all we've got time for. I can't say thank you enough to my incredible guest, Laura, for sharing her time today. Again, keep an eye out for her special edition in the Got Me Hooked magazine. That will be released February, March time. So it's going to be a good one. If you want to know more about Laura, you can follow her on her social medias. They are...
My main Instagram is Miss Laura Carter, but my glamour Instagram is It's Laura Carter. And I think you guys will be more interested in that one.
Definitely. So if you want to follow us on social media, it's Are You Hooked Pod. And the magazine, as always, is Got Me Hooked Mag. Once again, we'll be releasing an edition on the last day of every month, and keep an eye out for Laura Carter's special edition next year at the beginning. Thank you, and I'll see you again soon.
Thank you.